Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that literally all of us deal with, fear. We're going to unpack how ancient biblical texts actually offer a profound, deeply reassuring anchor for our very real, very modern anxieties. Whether you're wrestling with overwhelming career stress, maybe health worries, or honestly, just the absolute chaos of the modern world, the wisdom we're looking at today gives us a timeless perspective. It's actually wild how texts written thousands of years ago are still incredibly relevant to us right now. So, let's jump right in. Now, I want you to ask yourself, and be completely honest here, how often do you let fear creep in? It's a deeply relatable question, right? It hits right at the core of our day-to-day lives. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, worrying about our loved ones, or honestly just that vague, lingering anxiety about what tomorrow might bring. We all feel it. And frankly, normalizing this fear is the absolute first step in overcoming it. It reminds us, hey, we're not alone in this struggle. Because let's face it, we are constantly navigating these overwhelming modern struggles. The weight of it is just everywhere. We're talking about the crushing financial pressure of inflation and career insecurity. Or, that sudden pit in your stomach when you check a medical portal for test results. Then there's the messy reality of complex relationships and, of course, that daily, bone-deep burnout. Acknowledging that fear is just a totally natural human response to a chaotic world is crucial. But here's what's so fascinating. While our modern stressors look a bit different, we're not exactly running from literal lions or ancient armies anymore, the physiological and emotional weight of that fear, it is exactly the same as it was thousands of years ago.
Section 1. 365 Days Without Fear. The Viral Spiritual Anchor.
Okay, 365. Now, what's really interesting about this number is that it represents a viral idea that recently took online communities completely by storm. It's this concept that the Bible actually tells us, do not fear or do not be afraid, exactly once for every single day of the year. Now, if you really dig into rigorous biblical scholarship, the exact count kind of varies depending on the translation or how you categorize the commands, right? Some scholars count around 100 direct phrases, while broader interpretations easily hit that 365 mark. But honestly, the precise math isn't even the point here. The real takeaway is the sheer, overwhelming frequency of this divine instruction. Think about it. It suggests the Creator knew we'd need a daily reminder, literally a daily prescription for peace, to combat the anxieties that try to hijack our minds every single morning.
And just look at this incredibly powerful promise from Isaiah 41:10. It says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you." Notice how God's command to not fear isn't just some empty platitude. He doesn't just say, hey, cheer up or it's all going to be fine. No, it's a promise backed by his unwavering presence and strength. According to this ancient text, the antidote to fear is not the absence of danger, but the presence of the divine. Whenever we see the command, do not fear, it's almost always followed immediately by the reason, for I am with you.
Section 2. The Promise in the Pain. Contextualizing the Comfort.
Now, to fully grasp this, we need to look at the original audience for Isaiah's comforting words. These were men, women, and children who had literally been ripped from their homes. Their ancient struggle meant living under foreign overlords in the Babylonian exile, losing their temples, and feeling utterly abandoned by God. But fast forward to today. Sure, we might not be facing ancient conquering armies, but economic instability, terrifying health crises, or just total social isolation, those trigger the exact same physiological panic. By contrasting them, we see that while the external circumstances have definitely evolved, the internal battle, that core fear of abandonment and the unknown, remains completely identical.
So here is the absolutely crucial point. God didn't promise an immediate escape from hardship. Instead, he promised an empowering presence right in the middle of the struggle. He didn't tell the Israelites, hey, you'll magically wake up back in your homeland tomorrow. Rather, he promised them the strength and empowerment to actually survive the Babylonian exile. And even more than just surviving, he promised to empower them through his spirit to reflect his light and justice to the surrounding nations. So you see, the help God offers is very often about transforming us into the resilient people we were created to be, rather than just waving a magic wand and instantly fixing all our external problems.
Section 3. Look at the birds. Jesus' teachings on worry.
Okay, let's fast forward a bit to the New Testament. In Matthew chapter 6, during the famous Sermon on the Mount, Jesus addresses the everyday, paralyzing worries of his followers, and he gives us this highly practical three-step visual framework to break that exhausting cycle of anxiety. First, he says, look at the birds of the air. Second, consider how the lilies of the field grow. And third, seek the kingdom first. Instead of giving some dense, complex philosophical lecture, Jesus just points right to the simplicity of nature to teach a profound lesson about trust and divine provision.
This beautifully organized theology reminds us of something so vital. Think about it. Birds do not sow, reap, or store away in barns. They aren't out there hoarding resources out of anxiety, yet the Heavenly Father feeds them. Lilies, they don't labor or spin for their clothing, yet they're dressed more beautifully than King Solomon in all his royal splendor. And here is the ultimate punchline. You are vastly more valuable to God than they are. If the Creator lovingly sustains the absolute simplest, most fleeting parts of nature, He will certainly provide for us His most valuable creation. It is a complete paradigm shift, moving us from striving and worrying to simply resting in God's care.
And then Jesus concludes with this incredibly grounded, practical advice. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. I love this because he completely understands our human weakness, doesn't he? He knows we have this terrible habit of borrowing tomorrow's potential problems and dragging them right into today. But he's reminding us that life is so much more than just food and clothing, and that we only need to carry today's burdens. By strictly focusing on today, we stop completely draining our present strength on future what-if scenarios that might not even happen.
Section 4. Faith in the Daily Grind. Applying ancient wisdom today.
So how do we actually take these ancient, profound theological truths and apply them when we wake up totally stressed on a random Tuesday morning? Well, first, we need to fundamentally redefine faith. True faith is trusting God's presence amidst the fear, rather than expecting the complete absence of fear. Courage doesn't mean you won't feel afraid, it means you choose to trust anyway. It's not some magical force field that stops the storms of life from hitting you. Rather, it's the courageous choice to trust God's presence while you are actively walking through the dark valley. It's exactly like the famous Psalm 23 says, "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me."
And this builds right into a highly actionable spiritual toolkit. It transforms do not fear from just a distant, nice-sounding cliché into a tangible daily routine. First off, acknowledge your fears honestly. Don't hide them. Second, pray with thanksgiving, not just desperation. Like Philippians 4 tells us, present your requests to God with gratitude. Third, cast your anxieties completely on Him, because 1 Peter reminds us that He cares for you deeply. Fourth, focus your energy strictly on today. And finally, lean into a supportive faith community. We were absolutely not meant to carry these massive burdens in isolation. Together, these daily practices build a resilient mindset that can actually withstand the pressures of the modern world.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to challenge you as you face whatever uncertainties lie ahead in your own life. What will you choose to leave in God's hands tomorrow? If there really is a reminder not to fear for every single day of the year, and if you truly are more valuable than the birds and the lilies, what heavy burden can you finally set down? Think about what you're holding on to so tightly right now and consider what it would feel like to just let it go. Thank you so much for joining me today. I genuinely hope this brings you some peace and some much-needed clarity for the days ahead.